Hello, there's something you don't see every day. It is directly related, the costume and the outfits and the gear is directly related to my family name and the terrible jihad threat that Europe's under at the moment. And we don't credit it now. They're calling London Londonistan. As you'll know, we've got like a Pakistani of all groups, a Pakistani Mercedes Khan, you know, not a gang of people with very high status internationally, as even Saudi clerics have commented. I feel empowered to wear this sort of outfit because for many hundreds of years, thousands of years, my family have fought for my country. That's my old dad in World War II, and I'm reliably informed from father to son to grandfather, etc., that we used to be, long ago, my family name used to be archers, king's archers. This would be longbows, which were used for, like, as the artillery of its day. You know, many thousands of arrows landing on even armoured troops that used to take out the horses, take out the cavalry, and also crossbows never went out of favour for castle defence, because if you fired both, which I have extensively, you will know that even in those days, firing a well-made crossbow was quite similar to firing a carbine or, you know, a rifle today, just lower on power, but it aims as accurately as that. Whereas the longbow took a lot of practice, but for an area target, it was fine. In fact, in London, you've got like 400 mosques now. It's going the same way in Paris and Sweden, where there's about 50, 60 just in Luton. And all the white people are scared. You get white flight. Luton now there's very few white people there. I worked there years ago and it looked like Pakistan. You know, big fruit stalls on the pavement. You know, if you drove down the street in a nice car, they'd be staring at you, because whether you like to admit it or not, you lefties, you Democrats, you Labour people, like to admit it or not, Islam was born and entirely propagated, as Winston Churchill, our old Prime Minister, said, using the sword. That's Islam. That's what Winston Churchill rightly stated. Islam was propagated and advanced entirely using the sword. He wrote a book about the Middle East, time in the Middle East, the River War. I went part way through it. It's extremely detailed about how the British Empire reconquered the Sudan against the dervishes, these bloodthirsty, you know, Islamic people. And it states quite clearly in this book, the people of the Sudan, which, you know, I trust you'll know where that is. It's west of kind of the Red Sea, not far from Egypt. It states quite clearly that the Islamic slave dealers and half-breeds had been enslaving the Sudanese black people for hundreds, well, thousands of years. They'd come around every few years, as the Islamic Empire did in the early Christian days, and they would just like come in, murder any people that got in the way, and take their children. They would take their children to sell as human sex meat. And this is largely what built Islam over 1450 years. It states in the Quran, which I've read quite a lot of, it states in the Quran that the Prophet of Islam, Mohammad, was a throat-slicing killer, a slave dealer, and he had a weird taste for children. Well, just leave it at that, shall we? But I think you know what I mean. A weird taste for children, boys or girls, he didn't mind. In this book later on, I haven't got to the section yet, it's pretty hard going, to be honest. It goes into great detail about the gunboats to use, the artillery, the exact battles, the losses, you know, the defeats, and how they were using our early Lee Metford rifle, around about 1898, bolt action rifle, to a 10-shot magazine. And but later on in the book, he does state that a man filled with Islam, I think he's referring to Sharia, the Sharia frenzy we see in Pakistan, behaves like a man riddled with hydrophobia, riddled with rabies. Yes, he states this in this book. And how do we see ISIS fanatics and the Muslim Brotherhood behaving? Yes, like rabid, enraged dogs. But this is what it teaches them. Their ideology teaches them they are the master race. We are dirty dogs. We are less than dogs. We are us kuffar. This is President Trump, all the French, us English, me personally. Anyone that dares to say anything about this ideology are, quote, dirty kuffar, quote, the lowliest of beasts. So all the other 5 billion people that don't follow this savage, barbaric book, because believe you me, it is full of massacres and perversion and necrophilia and all sorts. He was that as well, the prophet. Yeah, that as well with his stepmother in the Quran. Yeah, it's quite racist and supremacist. It's what gave Adolf Hitler the idea for the Holocaust. If you put in Google Armenian genocide, it tells you straight away that in 1915 they did cruelly torture and wipe out 1.5 million Christians, because they are the lowliest of beasts. Doesn't matter if you kill mice or beetles, does it? No, they're not people. This is how the Quran and this ideology looks at idolaters, dirty kuffar, non-believers, infidels, all words for the other 5 billion people that don't follow this warlord, 7th century, illiterate, paedophile prophet. Yes, you'll know who I'm talking about. I'll call it, guy, just an introduction, but believe you me, this Islam is the religion of peace. It's the biggest pile of BS, biggest hoax ever. Why do you think people done stuff like this and went 70,000 Englishmen went to the Middle East to try and help their Arabic brothers? 70,000, and a hell of a lot never made it home. They probably would have won outright, but there was approximately 80 or 100,000 German troops never arrived because their king died on the way. Barbarous, it was their king, died on the way, and most of those turned back. So it was left to the English and the loyal Christian French, the good Catholic French and the Englishmen, who laid their lives on the line, and lots of them lost it for their Pope, their faith and their people. One of the regular things they used to do, even in Turkey, they were talking about bringing it back, ISIS, it were tortures like kazook, ramming a Christian's body upon like a big long spike, straight through the body, up the anus area, missing the heart, and it would take them 12 hours to die sometimes, as slowly as possible, so they could really enjoy it. Likewise, they used to skin Christian kids in Turkey in 1915. They used to burn them alive, burn kids and women alive. They crucified, raped and crucified Christian women and girls. There's actually photographs surviving. Put in Google images, Armenian genocide, and you can see the human heads on stakes, and Turkish soldiers, Turkish Mus soldiers, proudly standing there in their Turkish hats, smiling with their rifles, besides 3 and 5 beheaded Christian heads. That's the reality of Islam, and it's never been any different. And all this university bullshit about it being a religion of peace, absolute pile of bullshit. You better believe it. Why do you think all those people left, kissed the families goodbye and went to fight for the Pope? Because we were next. And the first Jihad invasion was only stopped in southern France, the Champagne area, at the Battle of Tours, T-O-U-R-S, in 732 AD. And then we pushed them out to Spain, and but the advance eastwards through Turkey. Constantinople, which is today called Istanbul, was the centre of the Christian church for the east, and the Green Mosque, as they call it, is an old robbed Christian cathedral with a dome on it. All the mosques there are old, stolen Christian churches, where they beheaded all the congregation, they beheaded the priests, they beheaded the bishops, as they always do. A religion of backwardness, mass beheading, racial supremacy and murder. Absolutely murderous, evil pile of rubbish. Don't listen to the Democrats and the Labour people. They don't know jack shit about it. They've never read one word of the Quran, unlike me. Well, I've read quite a bit of it. Okay, see you guys. Bye-bye.